I gave my ex's sister a swim lesson. She couldn't touch bottom and wrapped her legs around me. I still remember the exact second everything changed. It wasn't when she wrapped her legs around me in the deep end. It wasn't when the lifeguard jumped to his feet, thinking she was drowning. It wasn't even when I realized whose little sister she was. It changed the moment she looked me in the eyes afterward, coughing up pool water, trembling with embarrassment, and whispered, "Please don't tell my sister I panicked." My ex had broken my heart 8 months earlier. And somehow, on the hottest Saturday of the summer, fate decided her younger sister would end up trusting me with hers. My name is Ethan, and I never expected a swimming lesson to become the beginning of the most complicated chapter of my life. 8 months before all of this, Olivia ended our 3-year relationship with a sentence that still echoed in my head. "I don't love you the way I used to." There wasn't another guy. There wasn't some dramatic betrayal. She had simply changed. I respected her honesty, but it didn't make the silence afterward any easier. I avoided every place we used to visit, the coffee shop, the movie theater, even the grocery store near her apartment. The only place that still felt peaceful was the community recreation center where I worked part-time as a certified swim instructor. Water had always made sense to me. People floated if they relaxed. They sank when they fought the water. Life, unfortunately, worked the opposite way. One Saturday morning, I was finishing a beginner class when I heard someone call my name. "Ethan?" I turned around. Standing near the entrance was Emma, Olivia's younger sister. The last time I'd seen her, she had been finishing college. Now she looked older, more confident. Her long, dark hair was tied into a messy ponytail, and she carried a bright blue swim bag over one shoulder. I smiled politely. "It's been a while." She laughed awkwardly. "It has." For a second, neither of us knew what to say. Finally, she rubbed the back of her neck. "I know this is weird, a little. I wanted swimming lessons. You came here because you knew I worked here?" She nodded. "I've always been terrified of deep water. So why now?" She looked away. "My friends planned a beach trip next month. And? I lied." "Lied?" "I told everyone I could swim." I couldn't help smiling. "That's a pretty big lie." "I know. So you want me to save you from it?" "If you can." I hesitated. Dating someone's sister would have been strange enough. Teaching her? That felt like inviting unnecessary drama. "I'm not sure it's a good idea." She immediately understood why. "It's because of Olivia." I didn't answer. Emma sighed. "My sister and I barely talk these days." That surprised me. "What happened?" "Life." She shrugged. There was genuine sadness in her voice. "I promise," she added, "this is just swimming." After thinking for a moment, I nodded. "Fine." She smiled so brightly it almost made me laugh. "You just saved my vacation." "We'll see." Our first lesson started the following Tuesday. Emma was exactly what I expected. She overthought everything. She held her breath too long. She splashed whenever she became nervous. And she apologized every 30 seconds. "I'm sorry." "You don't need to apologize." "I'm sorry for apologizing." There you go again. By the end of the hour, she'd learned how to float with a kickboard. It wasn't much, but it was progress. Over the next 2 weeks, we settled into a routine. Tuesday evenings, Saturday mornings. Little by little, she relaxed. We talked between exercises. About work, family, movies, books. Everything except Olivia. One afternoon she finally asked, "Do you hate her?" The question caught me off guard. "No." "Really?" I was hurt. She nodded. "But hate?" "No." She smiled softly. "Always thought you would." I don't hate people for being honest. Emma stared at the water for a moment. I wish everyone thought like that. As lessons continued, she improved quickly. Soon she could swim across the shallow end without stopping. Then came the day we had to practice in the deep section. She froze the moment she looked at it. I can't. You can. No. She stepped backward. I'll sink. You won't. I will. I walked closer. You trust me? She nodded slowly. Then trust me now. She took a deep breath. We entered the deeper lane together. She clung to the pool wall with white knuckles. Look at me, I said. She did. I'm right here. What if I panic? Then I'll help you. What if I go under? I won't let that happen. She swallowed hard. Promise? I promise. Very carefully she pushed away from the wall. For 2 seconds, everything went perfectly. Then someone nearby jumped into another lane. The splash startled her. She inhaled water. Her eyes widened. She forgot everything I'd taught her. Instead of floating, she grabbed me with both arms. Instinctively, she wrapped her legs around my waist, trying desperately to stay above the surface. It's okay, I said. Emma. She couldn't hear me. I supported her weight, while keeping us both afloat. Breathe. She coughed. I've got you. She buried her face against my shoulder, shaking. The lifeguard blew one sharp whistle. You good? I looked over. We're okay. Emma slowly realized what had happened. She immediately let go. Oh my God. Her cheeks turned bright red. I'm so sorry. You panicked. I climbed you like a tree. I laughed despite myself. You kind of did. She covered her face. I am never coming back. Yes, you are. No, you had one panic attack. I embarrassed myself. You trusted me. That's worse. No. She looked at me. It means you're learning. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then she smiled. A tiny one. You're impossible. I've heard that. The next lesson surprised me. Instead of quitting, she came back even more determined. I want the deep end. Already? I'm tired of being scared. That day she crossed the deep lane by herself. When she reached the other side, she screamed with excitement. I did it. The entire pool applauded. She looked like a child who had just discovered magic. I realized I hadn't seen someone so genuinely happy in a very long time. After the lesson, we grabbed smoothies from the cafe next door. Halfway through our drinks, she became unusually quiet. My sister called yesterday. Oh? She asked if I was seeing anyone. And? I told her no. She looked directly at me. Then she asked if I still talk to you. My stomach tightened. What did you say? I told her the truth. Silence stretched between us. What did she say? Emma sighed. She wasn't angry. Really? Surprised. A week later, I found out why. Ethan turned and stood there. I was locking up the pool when I heard another familiar voice. Ethan. I turned. Olivia said. She looked almost exactly the same. Except her smile was always as certain as I remember. Hi. I turned. Olivia grinned her eyes and said, Can we talk? We sat outside near the empty parking lot. She folded her hands together. I heard you've been teaching Emma. I heard you've been teaching Emma. I have. She says you're the reason she's finally not afraid of water. I came closer and smiled different. Olivia nodded. I turned and said, I wanted to thank you. I blinked. I didn't understand why that wasn't what I'd expected. I also wanted to apologize. For what? For what? For disappearing after we broke up. That wasn't what I'd expected. You didn't owe me friendship. I owed you kindness. I looked down. I wasn't very good at that. No. She smiled sadly. I wasn't. After a long silence, she asked the question I'd been dreading. Do you like my sister? I answered honestly. I like her. Olivia nodded slowly. I thought so. You okay with that? She stared toward the pool. I don't get to decide. No. I just want one thing. What? Don't hurt her. The words stayed with me long after she drove away. The truth was, I wasn't sure what I felt. Emma was kind, funny, braver than she believed. Being around her felt easy. But she was still my ex's younger sister. That line felt impossible to cross. The beach trip arrived sooner than expected. Emma texted me a picture from the shoreline. I actually went in. Another photo followed, then another. She was smiling in every single one. Later that evening, my phone rang. I did it. I saw. I swam in the ocean. I knew you could. No, she laughed. You believed it before I did. Her voice became softer. You earned it. No. I borrowed your confidence until I found my own. I didn't know what to say. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, she whispered, Yeah? I think I've been looking forward to swim lessons more than swimming. I closed my eyes. I understood exactly what she meant. So have I. When she returned from the trip, she asked if I'd meet her at the pool one last time. No lesson? No lesson. Just swimming. We floated quietly near the deep end, where she'd once panicked. You know, she said, this used to look terrifying. And now, it feels peaceful. She smiled. I guess people change. They do. She looked at me carefully. LP, what's as? So? I laughed. So? Would it be completely crazy if I asked you to dinner? I laughed softly. P softly. A little. I figured. What's as? But maybe crazy isn't always bad. P softly. Her smile grew. I was hoping you'd say that. I have one condition. What is it? No pretending. No hiding. No hiding. Deal. And if this becomes complicated, we'll be back. She interrupted me. It already is. We both laughed. For the first time in nearly a year, my past didn't feel like a weight. It felt like a lesson. Olivia had taught me that love couldn't survive without honesty. Emma taught me that fear couldn't survive without trust. Funny enough, both lessons happened in water. Months later, whenever people asked Emma how she had learned to swim, she always laughed before telling the story. She never left out the embarrassing part. The first time I reached the deep end, she'd say with a grin, I panicked so badly I wrapped my legs around my instructor like a life raft. Everyone laughed. Then she'd glance at me, but he never laughed at my fear. Only afterward, and that made all the difference. Looking back now, I realize the most important thing I taught her had nothing to do with swimming. It wasn't how to float, or how to breathe, or how to survive the deep end. It was believing that sometimes the safest place isn't where your feet can touch the bottom. Sometimes it's where someone keeps their promise not to let you sink.